Well, hello, everybody. This is Sharon Parenta with Keller Williams, and I just wanted to welcome each of you back to our webinar, which is Decluttering Battle Plan Part 2. I'm really excited because we have some great practical information for those of you who were here last time. While we're getting started, just encourage you to use our chat box for a place to ask your particular questions. And if we don't have the answers, we will endeavor to find them out for you. But just by way of introduction and welcome, let me just tell you that as a realtor, with Keller Williams, I started knocking on doors in my neighborhood, and I started getting the same kinds of questions over and over again. And there were a lot of people that I met who felt like maybe downsizing would be in their eventual future, but they just couldn't face the amount of clutter in their home that they felt was kind of holding them back. So we started with seminars in person in local community centers and senior centers, and we branched that out into our webinars when COVID struck. So even though real estate is an essential service, we knew that the way to communicate with people on a broader scale was to put everything that we have digitally. So you're not only going to hear some very specific information today, but we're also going to follow up with you and give you a bunch of different resources, interesting articles that we've collected. No. Today, the word is curated. Everything is curated. So we've curated resources for you, and you're going to want to stay tuned to the very end because we have a very special offer for you that is just for the people who have attended today's webinar. So welcome. If you have a second, just type into the chat box where you're from, where you're watching us from, how you found us. This is always so interesting to me, that we get people literally from all across North America joining us, but it's always, most fun to have the people who are new and watching for the very first time. So welcome wherever you are, and I just want to get started right away into doing a bit of a recap, because if you weren't here last week, you're going to see that we begin by setting a mindset, understanding what exactly is holding us back, and then also creating specific battle plans so that we can move forward. And then today we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to start campaign divide and conquer. Okay, so continuing on with where we left off, but just for those of you who weren't able to join us last week, I want to make sure that we just understand what decluttering can really mean to your freedom, the freedom in your life of purpose, of time, there's money, all of the different kinds of freedoms that we can experience. And a lot of people I encounter in my business are really being held essentially prisoner in a home that no longer suits their needs. So many of us, myself included, are empty nesters with one or two, maybe even more empty bedrooms. And we're living in a home where we really just use 20% of it, and the other 80% is literally storage for our stuff. So as we age, we encourage people to start shedding their surplus so that we can be a little lighter and brighter in our lives. So I welcome you to our webinar, ask you to mute yourself, thank you, and then we are going to get going here. So if clutter is your enemy, how do we defeat the enemy? Well, I would say that in my experience, clutter is a creeping enemy. And in the same way that it creeps into our homes and tends to take over room by room, we're going to have to kind of reverse that process. And one of the high prices that we can pay right now is just in the peace of mind. some of us have been resistant in the past to having people come over, or reluctant. And I'm constantly hear people, when I come to their home for a property evaluation, say, oh, I'm sorry about the mess. I'm sorry about the mess. Well, let me just tell you that my very first real estate deal was selling the home of a full-on hoarder. Like, we're not just talking, hey, a little bit of mess or piles over here or too much furniture. We're talking up to the window frames of clutter, past that point. So I really am unshockable. And the purpose here is not to kind of shame you. It's a judgment-free zone, because we all have too much stuff. But when you start to think of a future, the next couple of weeks, months, however long, in a more shut down phase of our COVID endurance run here, we really want our homes to be a sanctuary. And I find that clutter robs me of my peace of mind. It makes me anxious. And when I tidy up, I just feel so much better. There was even a book written about this, by Marie Kondo, The Life-Changing Habit of Tidying Up. So really, one of the issues can be when one person is all about being tidy and the other person in the relationship is more of a messy. It seems like we all have our threshold. But the fact that you are here today suggests to me that you are recognizing you're at your threshold, and now it's time to do something about it. So one of the fastest growing industries in the US is the self-storage. It seems like in my neighborhood, whenever there's kind of a new subdivision that's added on, there is like the nail salon, there is the Tim Hortons or the Starbucks, and then there is a self-storage place. And it's just indicative of how common this really is none of us are living in homes, I would argue, that are actually too small. It's just that we have too much stuff. So let's see what we can do to streamline our homes, to reduce the stress, to reduce the frustration. I love this because it's so true. I'm always looking for my glasses. I put them down, I forget about them, and then the irony is I need my glasses to find my glasses. So we want to get our homes so that they are operating properly, that we're not wasting money on having to rebuy things that we know we have but we just can't find, or even things like paying bills late and incurring interest charges because we put the bill aside and we forgot about it. So when we look at some of the so-called reasons, we realize they're really just blockages. And may I just very humbly suggest to you that you don't actually have a clutter problem, you have a procrastination problem. And these are the things that we use to justify our procrastination. We start imbuing our physical items, our material goods, with emotions, and we make them representative of something much bigger when really all they are is stuff. Like, maybe you're like me and you're a bit of a sentimental person, and I like to hang on to things as a reminder of bygone days, whether that's my children's preschool art or even my university notes I kept like crazy. These were some of the most lovely times of my life. And yes, I understand why I was keeping those things, but they were not serving me in any way now. So to unhinge yourself, to detach yourself from the emotions and just look at it as stuff. And this is sometimes why pulling in a friend to help you with it is really, really helpful. In my case, it was when my eldest daughter moved back home. She is completely a declutterer, and she got brutal with me. And we threw out all my university notes and then my essays, and then I went back and I picked up the essays and took them out of the garbage. I don't know why I'm keeping my university essays, but it was to me like, oh man, that was when I really felt great about myself and look how smart I am and all that. So those sentimental, those emotional, the guilt kind of that you're being disloyal to somebody, we're just going to put that aside and think of that as being like a false narrative about your things. The other kind of practical reason lots of people hang on to things is that you paid good money for it, or you might need it in the future. Well, what do we say when we give, when we sell a car that's got 100,000 miles on it? We say, that car doesn't owe me a cent. And your dining room set doesn't owe you a cent. If it was there and it served its function for the big family gatherings that we typically don't have anymore, you can let it go and say, you did your job. You served our family, and now I release you to another family who might use you. Or the idea that we might need it someday. Well, truth be told, if you ever did actually need it again, you have the resources to go out and purchase it. I'm not suggesting that you declutter so deeply that you're getting rid of needs, but a lot of us, we really overestimate the value and the need of something. And there's only been a few times when I've actually given something maybe to Salvation Army or Goodwill, and then I kind of regretted it. But for the vast majority of times, 99.99% of the time, you get rid of it and you don't miss it. A good way to start is some of those boxes in your basement that you haven't looked inside for a couple of years. If you haven't missed it, then you obviously don't need it. So we all have our so-called reasons, which are really just ways of enabling us to continue procrastinating. And I'm going to encourage you to break that pattern of those false thoughts and move to what you really want, which is freedom, which is lightness, which is peace. Okay. So this, I think so many of us, I actually just reference this. I want to live a minimalist life with little to no clutter, but I also want to keep this grade 5 assignment because I might need it later. I haven't been a teacher now for a lot of years, but there's part of me that, had a hard time getting rid of my teaching materials because I thought, oh, what happened? No, nobody is going to go back to those old Shakespeare old Shakespeare lectures. Everything is rediscoverable. So I'm going to move forward and trust that my future does not require my university notes or my teaching materials. So, okay. So when we get into selling a home, I'm going to tell you that literally, this is literally true. Decluttering your home is the #1 thing you can do to increase its value. So I am coming to you as a realtor, but if I was to tell you that every bag that you took out of your house increased the sale value of your home by $100, would that be enough of a carrot? We've talked about the stick, we've talked about the costs, we've talked about all the things that it does for us in a negative way, physiologically and psychologically, but think of it this way. I can sell any house in any condition, provided it's been decluttered. Okay, so we know that when a house has been decluttered, it photographs better, it looks more spacious, it's lighter, it's brighter. You don't have to have high-end furniture or a granite kitchen. It just needs to be clean and bright and open spaces. So let's get started on that. The first thing, as we said, is mindset, is deciding that enough is enough, that you're not going to bring anything more into the house. While we're shut down and we can't get out to the grocery stores as easily and we can't get out to the shopping malls and we're missing the social interaction, I totally understand the danger of Amazon Prime, right? Like, it's just so instantly gratifying that you can order something and it's there same day, next day, whatever. But we really just have to stop bringing things into our homes unless they are absolute necessities. I know we've got so little pleasure lately, but this is really a great place to start. You need to set your intention that nothing new is coming into the house until and unless you start purging some of it out. So I said that once. Sometimes I get into these throwing out moods where if it's not nailed down, it's going out. And I said, nothing more is coming into the house unless something is going out. I happened to be very pregnant at the time. So I think my kids were a little worried that they might be exchanged for the new baby. Well, anyway, so we're also going to think of this in terms of preparing to do battle, but this is a battle. We want to start strong, put a date on the calendar. We're putting it as D-Day for decluttering. We're going to gather our supplies, everything that we need, so that there's nothing interfering with our practical purging process, that when we pick something up and we decide it's a keeper, we've got a bin to put it in. And if it's something going out, we've got big industrial garbage bags so that it can go out and we don't have to think about it again. The idea is you pick it up once, you deal with it once. We also want to tell the people in our homes, or outside our homes, that are using our homes for storage, to say, hey, son, daughter, love you so much, but you got to get your crap out of our house. You know, maybe it's the United Front. Dad and me, we're really serious about getting ready to sell the house, and we know this is valuable stuff to you, so what's your time to come pick it up? When will you be here to pick up your hockey equipment? When will you be here to pick up that old PlayStation? And this is the time when they will declare to themselves and to you, hey, guess what? I guess I really don't need that. And they'll give you permission to get rid of it. So that united front of saying to the people in your life, you're no longer welcome to use our basement as free storage. I know it's kind of harsh, but really, we lots of times have multi-generational clutter. We have things from our parents that we've inherited. We have things left over from our kids when they moved out. And it's okay for you to say, come get it, or tell me when, or do I have permission to dispose of it? And then I also want you to think that there is a great reward at the end of this process. Like every good goal, your reward is going to be what you are kind of fighting towards, right? One garbage bag at a time. Okay, so we also talked about our favorite methods of dealing with this. And now these are things that I do all the time in my own life. I'm not even related to decluttering, but to business, is setting a timer for 25 minutes. We know that that has been proven to be the maximum efficiency and focus and concentration. You know, there's been a lot written about the falsehood of multitasking. And I'm certainly not opposed to you putting on the music in the background, but the idea is to focus on something for 25 minutes and you're going to see a great deal of result, a great deal of progress, but it's not such an overwhelming time that you're thinking, oh my gosh, when's this going to end? So we use this called the Pomodoro method. We put on the timer for 25 minutes. We get to our task. It stops me from procrastinating. I'm no different than anyone else. I avoid the tasks that I really don't enjoy. For me, it's usually paperwork, paying bills. I just set the time and then I'm done. And then we also want to chunk the territory. This is not the kind of project typically that we just kind of sprinkle our efforts around. We want to stay in the room that needs us the most. You know, lots of times that's the basement. It could be the garage, workshop, whatever it is. We're going to stay there and try to get it to about 80% decluttered, you know, where we've sorted about 80%. It always seems like that last little bit is what hangs us up, right? Like you pull everything out of your closet and there's just that last little remnant that you're not sure what to do. Don't worry about it. This is going to be a process that you come back and you revisit over time. It's not a once and done. It's a process. So we're going to stay in the territory that needs us most, but that doesn't mean we're not coming back to deal with that last little bit. Okay, so don't get overwhelmed. This is a longer marathon type process. It's not a sprint. Just like you wouldn't expect to train for a 5K by doing all of your training in one day. This is something that we are going to do over time consistently, and we are going to take back the territory. I almost want you to think of like a chessboard where we claim one room back to another, and we keep going until It's like the queen's gambit of decluttering. Oh my goodness. So what else can we do? Well, sometimes we have to call in reinforcements. It's so much harder right now because we've got great restrictions on who we can let into our bubble. But there's been lots of people whose lives you've invested in, you've made deposits in, and now it's time to kind of make a few withdrawals. So for your kids, all the time you babysat and all of that, to have somebody come in and help you lift up a few big boxes or take things down to the curb or out to the dump or the wherever it's going, sometimes we need that a little bit of extra helping hand. And maybe for you right now, because of your concerns about COVID, what this looks like is more just like having an accountability partner, somebody who you can tell of your plan to declutter, somebody who will help you be accountable and you can help them be accountable. You know, your junk has no emotional tie for me at all, right? I can just see it for what it is. And sometimes having that extra set of eyes can be really helpful in determining what goes, what stays. So I've always thought, like, my junk is precious. I don't want to get rid of it, but having somebody else come and help you, if you feel safe, can really help with the motivation. Maybe you trade off. I come to your house, you come to my house. Okay. So there are a ton of professional organizing companies now, especially during our shutdown period where we're restricted to our homes. These people are really super helpful because they, again, don't have the emotional connection. They're objective third-party witnesses, and they can come in and, as professional organizers, I've seen it with my own eyes, a 3-person crew can get most homes decluttered from top to bottom in about 6 hours. Like, it's incredible. First of all, because they are professionals, they go, and they don't get bogged down in photographs or paperwork or whatever. They just are completely efficient. Now, if this isn't in your budget or in your comfort level, sometimes it is a matter of getting all the stuff that you want to sell, let's say, for example, putting it in the garage and getting somebody in your family, like a grandkid, run an online auction for you. And there are online auction companies too that you can hire who will take all the work out of it. You can actually even pay by credit card. It's amazing. They come, they organize things into lots, they advertise the online sale, people register online with their credit card information, and when they win the auction, they're automatically billed. At the end of the auction, you're issued a check. It's pretty amazing. And the fact that these people exist just speaks to the prevalence of clutter and the need to downsize in so many people's lives. Okay, so we've kind of got the mindset, we've established the battle mentality that we're going to take back the ground, both in terms of time and in space. We are going to dedicate a small march forward on a regular basis so that we can really see that victory. And we're going to start by being in a room. Let's just say it's your basement, and we're going to begin with campaign Divide and Conquer. If you at all question the effectiveness of this campaign, think back to when many of us were parents with smaller children and how effective they could make campaign Divide and Conquer. This is how you do it, the same way that you start with the easy win. And the easy win in our case is going to be garbage. Now, I'm not saying that you are like that first client of mine who had garbage up to the windowsills, not at all. But we all have things that we might not think of as garbage, but actually have no further purpose to anyone else anymore. So what am I talking about? Well, anything that is broken. If you were going to fix it, it would have been fixed by now. Anything that's soiled or dirty or missing parts, basically inoperative, those are the things that go out. And I cannot tell you how many places I go into where people still have the TV box and all the styrofoam from the TV, but the TV's gone. The box is there, but the TV's long since gone. So instruction manuals, spare parts, any old obsolete technology, especially if you have like the base receiver for the telephone, but no handset or vice versa. How many converter like switchers have I got? How many of these remotes do I have? Way too many remotes to things I don't even have. Or we've just all packed away our holiday decorations, or at least a lot of us have. What didn't you use last year? That's a really good barometer of what could possibly be donated or go out to the garbage. Baby gear is unfortunately mostly garbage because the safety considerations have changed. The standards have changed. So old car seats, old cradles or cribs, any of that you think you were saving for your eventual grandchildren, it's probably not safe to keep, and out it goes. So obviously old bedding, anything that's torn or soiled or holey, it's got holes in it, out it goes. And I can tell you virtually every house has a pile of scrap lumber somewhere near the furnace. I don't know why this is, but this seems to be the place where we put it. The box of leftover flooring or scrap lumber from the trim of some project long since finished. Out it goes. You don't need it. And random fasteners and unmatched Tupperware and old craft projects that have been started but not completed. Guilty. I ran across a box of home sewing projects. I had cut out the skirts and they just never got sewed. And it's like, I am never going to wear that. Out it goes. So some of these things we have to be careful because they could be hazardous waste. They could be e-waste, but you can search that up in your local area to find out, what do you do with electronics? What do you do with old batteries? There's going to be a place where you live where that can all be donated. Now, where I live, there's even places where you can donate textiles. You can recycle textiles. So the fiber aspect of the old comforters, towels, sheets, whatever it is, gets recycled, repurposed. So find out what's available to you in your neighborhood. And if you can't recycle it, regrettably, it is going to be garbage. This is funny. By the age of 35, you should have a huge box of random cables, but you can't throw them out because you're pretty sure you still might need a couple one day. So totally true. I have a box of power cords to laptops and things like that. Like, I don't know why. They should really just go out, shouldn't they? Okay, so garbage is an easy win. I love it because it makes such a big difference. And I'm going to encourage you to take that garbage bag when it's full and take it right to the garage or right to the curb so that you're not in any way tempted to go back and retrieve things like I did. Yes, and we have a mention that your animal care facilities, like your humane societies, will accept old blankets, old towels and bedding for the crates or for the kennels that they have. Yes, I noticed that as well. So that's a great use. Now, donating. This is a wonderful opportunity to take your surplus and bless other people with it. It's a total win-win situation. You don't want to put it into the landfill. It's got some use left in it, but let's see who might benefit by your seconds. We all, it seems like maybe if you're my age, we have like the good towels, and then we have like the guest towels, and then we have the scrabbly towels. So, if they still got some good life in them, but they're not your best, and you want to just refine your life down to the very best things for yourself, then consider donating them. They have to be clean and in good repair. Don't donate the blouse that's missing a button without first putting the button on. I'm sure people at Salvation Army and Goodwill must be absolutely appalled the amount that they get. That is really, just not something that they would like to receive. So my frame of reference is that if you wouldn't give it to one of your kids, you know, if it's not in good enough condition, then it's probably either garbage or recycling. So if you have duplicates of things, or you have things that you haven't used in the last 12 months, why not consider donating them? Now, I'm going to actually, I should update this screen, because anything related to home baking or home preserves right now is such a hot thing. You could probably sell it on Facebook Marketplace for a good, I see posts for people asking for mason jars all the time. People are hunkering down and nesting, and anything related to like bread makers or baking things, these actually have a value. But for the most part, a lot of this stuff can be donated. I got married in the year of the serving tray. I do not know why, but things tend to follow in a pattern. I know other friends of mine got married in the year of the fondue pot. If you have a bunch of trays, servingware that you're not using, any of those makers, we all try out the yogurt maker, the ice cream maker, and then they sit dormant. Any of those things, the sporting equipment that you're not using and you're just ending up storing. And there are actually some places where you can donate power tools. I'm thinking of trade schools. There's also a program called Tooli, Tooli, for those of you in the Greater Toronto area, where it's a lending library for tools. Just, you know, you don't need a table saw for the rest of your life. You just need it for this one project, and they loan them out. It's like the Uber of power tools. So there are places like that. A ton of us have camping equipment left over from earlier days. And I'm going to tell you that my ancestors fought for 200 years not to have to sleep on the ground. And I am never sleeping on the ground again. Okay, so my camping days are gone, and I don't really need to keep any of that stuff. You can see the rest of the items that I'm suggesting. There are places like Habitat for Humanity, where if you have building materials left over from previous renovations, they may or may not take them. They're getting a little picky, and you can imagine why. There's just so much surplus coming into the systems right now. Okay, so anything that is just occupying space without really improving your life, it's time to go and bless somebody else with it. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty true. We're all going to head back with bags and bags of stuff when they open up again, especially clothes. All that COVID baking, I'm going to need a new wardrobe. A very comfortable, stretchy things, you know, stretchy things. So there we go. Now, sell. I don't know if you've thought of selling things. I understand there's some reluctance there because maybe there's some security issues, but I have bought and sold on Facebook Marketplace, and currently it's my favorite place to dispose of my surplus, get a few dollars for it. Not everything has a resale value very high, but in a way, it's kind of like they're doing me a favor just to take it out of my house. An example being, when my daughter moved home, as I mentioned, she encouraged me to get rid of my treadmill. You know, my treadmill had been well loved, well used, and then suddenly it slid into the category of expensive clothes hanger. So she said, get rid of that, you know, and I said, no, I'm gonna use it. She says, no, you're not. So finally, one Saturday morning, I put it up on Facebook, and I posted it at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and by 11:20, it was out of my house. 11:20, an hour, not even 2 hours later, it was gone. And I just wanted it out, so I didn't charge anything for it. So you can get rid of things for free, but there's also some a distinction between the benefit of getting it out of your house, and then maybe it also has some value. So I know in your heart, these things have a great value. Like I'm thinking again of the example of the dining room set. Oh, we paid so much money for that. Well, you know what? Brown furniture is in a glut right now. There's more than people really want. So if you were to get $350 for your dining room set, you're probably doing well. I have to say that IKEA has ruined it for everybody. That the dark wood furniture, that gorgeous, sumptuous walnut or cherry, it's just not the fashion right now. And so we want to make sure that we are accurate in assessing what it really is. And if somebody's willing to come and take it and you get a couple of $100 for it, I think that's kind of a win-win. And there are people who will take it and want it and might even go so far as to refinish it. Do you know what's so funny right now is there is a huge surge in the popularity of mid-century modern furniture. So this is furniture from the 50s, 60s, 70s, that era. Lots of teak, lots of very like modernist design. And I'm looking in my Facebook feed in the marketplace, and we've got like end tables selling for $250, dining table for $450, just the table, you know, $50 a chair. Like it's really interesting. Right now, this is a bit of a fad. So if you have any of that older mid-century modern furniture, it's actually quite collectible right now. And there are a few other collectible things. And I have to tell you, I'm not an expert on things like rare books or stamps or coins or any of that. You really have to check it out with somebody online who is a professional appraiser so that you don't inadvertently sell something that has some value. Another thing like that is older hi-fi equipment before it was digital, when it's still solid state, and old cameras, old watches, those kinds of things. So check it out. Either Google will help you find somebody in your area who can give you an evaluation for it. And I'm just waiting for the time when my old junk actually flips over to the category of desirable collectibles. Okay, so selling is something you can get somebody younger in your family to help you with, or you can do it yourself. Okay, so there was an old woman who lived in a shoe and also had a timeshare in Hawaii. Awesome. What'd you do? I think she sold the old boot, and now she's like in a little kitten heel sandal somewhere and a flip-flop. So selling can really enhance your pocketbook and also help to declutter your house. Now, there are things that we're going to want to keep. And I really encourage you to keep the best. Keep the things that really you see moving into your next home with you, the things you really love. I've had clients who literally take nothing from their big house when they go into a condo. They want all brand new because, you know, how do we acquire our furniture? Typically, it's kind of piecemeal. It's a combination of things we buy, things that we inherit, you know. So if you just want to keep the best for yourself, I give you permission. Okay, so I want you to have the very best, the things that really make you happy, that enhance your life. And I think if anything that COVID has taught us is that our stuff really is not the source of happiness. It's the relationships, it's the adventures, it's the experiences that we're all hungering and thirsting for now. And that the stuff is really just a pain in the neck to have to have to keep a big house for stuff. It doesn't seem to be in keeping with a lot of people's values now. So I look forward to the time when I can trade in a house for experiences, right? Even now, you know, I see the time when I don't even need as much space as I have now, and I've already downsized once. So the same for you, I'm sure, that we'll look forward to having smaller houses and bigger vacations. Is that not the truth? Okay, so having the spoils of this campaign, in my terms, might mean more closet space, less confusion over where my possessions are. One of the things I really want to do this month is I want to pull all my tools from all the various sources and just organize my tools. I'm talking like screwdrivers and stuff like that. Get my toolbox in order. I always have one for the car for when I'm off to show houses. Sometimes we need something, and so I always have a little small mini one for the car and the big one at home. Like that kind of task that's only a small, short amount of time, a 25-minute task, it gives me so much satisfaction. And then the next time I'm looking for a particular screwdriver, I know where it is. And it's those little things that can either kind of erode our joy in our homes or can amplify. So for me, the other thing I thought of was the amount of clothes in the closet that I haven't worn this winter, get that out. And then maybe it's a matter of bringing one thing in. For every 10 things we take out, one new thing can come in, something like that. Okay, so that is our divide and conquer program. We're going to start with the things that are easy wins. We're going to stay in the place and sort it and organize it into the things that we really want to keep, the things we want to throw out, the things we want to donate or sell. And that's the kind of box system that I can recommend to you. And the first step in crafting the life you want is to get rid of everything you don't. And that's so true. Things that don't bring you happiness, things that you have but don't really like it's okay to change your mind about the style of furniture that you want. It's okay to say, I don't really like that outfit on me anymore, and not to be held back because of what you paid for it or any of that, but just to look at the value for how it makes you feel rather than maybe what you paid for it. Okay, so one of the things I promised for you was an exclusive offer, which is our 30-day decluttering challenge. Now, this breaks my rule a little bit about staying in one area, but I think for some of us, it's a way of just getting started, getting into it. So this is an example of the first email that you'll get. One email for 30 days with a task and some tips and some inspirational quotes just to get you going. So the first one is the front hall closet. And you can see from our next slide that we just do these small self-contained tasks so that by the end of the 30 days, you will have experienced some victory over your clutter. And there are even reward days, rest days in there so that you don't become overwhelmed. That's the number one thing that stops people from decluttering, is a sense of overwhelm. So we have broken it down for you, and it's going to be completely self-monitored. I'm not going to be coming to your house and checking that your homework's done. It's just a matter of you seeing the benefit of step by step. And this is a great thing to invite a friend to do with you and hold each other accountable for it. Okay, so you will be getting our resources emailed to you along with a copy of today's presentation that you can review and watch, share, and it'll give you an opportunity to sign up for our 30-day decluttering challenge as well. Okay, so want to make that available to you because it's not enough just to diagnose the problem and suggest a remedy. We want to actually provide you with the tools to empower you to take care of this on your own. Now, in the time that we have remaining, are there any questions, any suggestions? I know that you all are smart, resourceful people. Where's your favorite place to donate to? What kind of charity or shelter or organization do you like to donate your surplus to? Okay, so I'm going to ask you to enter that into the chat box. And then I'm going to show you that for those of you who are living in the Greater Toronto area, we also do condo tours, because many people in my sphere of clientele, they are contemplating a condo for their next home as a way of living conveniently, safely, good amenities, saving the money between the sell and the purchase, using that to help fund retirement. And a lot of people said to me, yeah, but they're boxy, they're small. Oh, we can't have pets, we can't smoke, whatever. We designed these condo tours to show you what living in a condo really can be like. We always look for 2 bedrooms or larger, and we kind of take the price in the middle range for our community. Nothing too exorbitant, but nice. And we also want to show you different versions of condos that are penthouses, condos that are main floor, so that you don't have any need for an elevator. Like, it's a good condo tour. We used to do these in person. You would come with me in my Chrysler minivan, and we'd go out and look at them together. Now we do the same thing online, and we choose usually 6 to 8, maybe 10 condos in neighborhoods that, you know, that we service. But regardless of where you plan to live next, the condo tour is a great way to learn about downsized living. Okay, so that's there for you. Comments, questions? Children's wish and kidney disease. They used to pick up boxes and bags on the porch. Yeah, that's terrific. You can label them. The Humane Society for linens and towels, Salvation Army for the rest. Yes, I no longer donate to Value Village because they are a for-profit corporation. So I really do like Salvation Army best. And we are fortunate in York Region to have some amazing recycling opportunities. Like I said, electronic waste, fiber waste, there's really good options to keep it out of the landfill. So encourage you to investigate those. Anyone else? Comments, questions? Here are our other webinars. We encourage you to come out. Like we said, decluttering is the broad topic that has mass appeal because we all have a bad case of affluenza. We all have way more than we need. But there's some other helpful webinars that we've developed as well. The next Wednesday will be the best renovations for return on investment. And this answers the question, before I sell my home, where should I spend my money, if anywhere at all? So I know all of us have seen properties that as soon as the sold sign is taken down and the new people move in, there's a dumpster in the driveway and all of the expensive new kitchen gets torn out and replaced. So what really is the best use of your money if you live in an older home and you're thinking of potentially selling in the next 12 to 24 months? And then we have our Get Ready to Downsize webinar. This is kind of a self-monitoring webinar where we talk about, is now the right time to consider downsizing? What are the kinds of things in my life that have to occur to make downsizing the right decision? And then I love this one, the staging secrets on a shoestring budget. It's so much fun to see the before and the after in transforming our homes from the way we live to being more applicable to visual marketing. That's the job of realtors these days, is to visually market your home so that it's broadly appealing to a large number of potential buyers. And we want to address the concerns and actually the picture in that green postcardy looking thing is actually one of the properties that we staged, and it just was completely transformed. They were lovely people, still good friends today, even to this day, but the house was a bit dated and you can see the dark wall color. So our big job was to lighten and brighten and bring this into the 21st century. Yes, everyone will be getting a recording of this webinar so that you can review it and see the slides and also respond to any of our offers. Okay, so I appreciate you being here today. I hope we've given you some tools, some inspiration to go with your perspiration, and that you will enjoy the benefits of a decluttered lifestyle. And I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. My name is Sharon Parento. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams. If there's anything I can do for you or your family, please don't hesitate to reach out. I have no life. I'm always here. I'm always available. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye for now. Bye. You're welcome.